Oh, I do not want to deal with anything that's happening over there right now. Oh. All right, let's do this. What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here at my studio in Manhattan. If you don't know who I am, I'm a pro photographer right here in New York. You can check out some of my work at Last X Witness on all platforms, IG, hit me up on Twitter, join me live on Twitch, where I have a nice photo community where you can share some work or troubleshoot some things you're having problems with, talk about some gear stuff, whatever. And speaking of gear stuff, that's kind of why I jumped on here right now. I'm done for the day here at the studio. It is a pile of gear over there. And then I realized while I was packing up, I always get asked questions about this one particular piece, and it is one of my most favored things I have on me all the time. I try to always keep it in a bag or a kit, and I think it's something that's super versatile and is often overlooked, usually because of price, or they just think there's a fail point to it, or they just never even tried one. So without further ado, I give you the articulating arm. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things ever. You've probably seen them in every demo I ever do, or if you've seen any videos of me on the road, 100%, this is what comes out of my case. These are not essential, but they make things so much easier, and they're so versatile. They allow you to get away with things you wouldn't normally be able to get away with, and allow you to do some things that you probably wouldn't be able to do otherwise. What is an articulating arm? Well, it's just that. It's an arm that you can position however you want, and you can put gear on the other end, like a speed light or some other light, you know, something lightweight. But I've seen a lot of different cases for this. A lot of pros use this for different rigging situations, maybe even putting a camera at the end. It's like a small light camera or whatever. Either way, it lets you mount something to something else and then position it however you want. And what's really great about it is you can position it in any position you want and freeze it there instead of, I don't know, constantly having to fight with right angles of the stand goes up and the arm goes this way, or whatever the case is. There's no having to stop your workflow. If I have my light here, but I go, if I just had it a little bit over, then I just put a little bit over and I tighten it. There's no moving my footprint. There's no having to fight with raising something just to move something over. We've all been there, I think, especially if you're someone that works with C-stands. It's very perpendicular in that world. This, however, is a great solution because, first of all, I should mention that this is a little customed out with what I have on the end of them, but you can do whatever you want with them as well. When I have this in my bag, it is literally like this. That means I get a 20-inch arm into this much space, which can go on the side of a backpack, inside a roller, whatever you want. There is some weight to it, I'm not gonna lie to you, but that's another thing. With these arms, you kind of get what you pay for. Actually, you definitely get what you pay for. If you cheapen out on arms, you're asking for your gear to break. It's on you. If there's any sort of plastic or something questionable material-wise, if it feels a little janky, a little light in weight, it probably is. And you know, you're gonna be hanging things off of this. And like I say all the time, grip goes with you no matter what camera you use, whatever lens you use, whatever system you integrate with, whatever lights you change from, whether it's speed lights, studio strobes, brands, you go to constant lights, your grip still stays there for you. So I've had the same C-stands and arms forever. This has been around the world, all over the place I think this has gotta be like a 7-year-old arm by now. And it still holds up perfect. It's amazing. I love it. So let me go over what I changed about it. Then I'm going to go over some use cases, and then we'll go over some brands to look at and what you would look at when buying them. So an arm not only gives you the ability to have an arm off of your stand, but it also gives you the ability to make your stand taller. So if you're doing something like floor stands or lower lights, you're able to manipulate the position of the light just beyond the range of the stand you're using, whether it's a tall stand, a floor stand, or whatever. So it's a really useful tool in that regard. Now on this one, however, I should let you know that I did put this 5/8 female socket here, and 5/8 is the size of the post that is on every light stand, including C-stands. So that right there shows you that you're able to mount any female socket from a light. That means any studio strobe or something like that, you'll be able to mount it to the post. but I put a female post on here so that I can put this onto anything rather than looking for a female socket. Because if I walk in and this is my stand, I don't have a grip arm with a 5/8 socket, this doesn't go onto this. Male to male, it's not really gonna work out. Watch those comments. This, however, is a receiver. I mean, done. And I'm on the stand, no matter what kind of stand I carry with me. On the other end, I put a cold shoe. Now, what's really versatile about the cold shoe is I can take it off completely, and that'll leave me with a bare 5/8 post, which is great if I just wanted to mount this to a stand and extend that stand. But if I have something like a speed light, I can't, there's no way to mount this to that. So this was my answer to having like a ton of umbrella adapters, which after a while, you know, umbrella adapters, you take like a few of these, they start adding up and creating, you know, taking up space in your bag, when this whole setup does what this does, except way more. So why wouldn't I just, you know, do something like this? Or I could even put the umbrella adapter on here and have an umbrella adapter, a receptacle for an umbrella if I wanted to in that position. So what's great about this though, is if I wanted to, not only can I mount a speed light to it if I wanted to, and you just tighten down the shoe on this side, lock, and then lock your speed light. Don't lock it and then tighten this down. You could break the lock on your foot of your flash. You always want to tighten this down first, then lock it. Not only can I mount the speed light here and then put it anywhere I want, ideally, but I could also completely take off the shoe and leave it to be a 1/4-20 itself. This allows for an insane amount of versatility. Anything that has something like this can actually be mounted to this. This is a Profoto B10, so this is bigger than a speed light. I can actually just mount this to this, come straight up if I wanted to. I could also use the 5/8 mount that comes with it, like almost every light now, and have the pivot point if I wanted to, or I could save the space in my bag and just take this, and this becomes my pivot point, and I just put it right onto a C-stand. Now that's way bigger than a speed light. Let's just do this so it looks cooler. And I can put it in whatever position I want, you know, and it'll hold it there. This is invaluable. I mean, it's totally stable, it's holding its own, and I can put it in unique positions, you know, really fine tune where I want my light to go. Remember, I'm not a fix and post kind of guy. I like to light and get that light in camera. And so every little bit of an angle really matters to me. Having this extra versatility, just go boom. Okay, cool, we got that shot. Now let's say I want to do something with like a creepier look. Okay, cool, so let's drop it down, and I will then mount it from underneath if I wanted to. I could go even lower than that, mount it underneath, and then have a fill light, and then have another one that's a key light. And it can go on and on and on. But the thing is, you just aren't limited by the position of right angles from a stand or just like a pivot point, and that's all you have. So that's a huge bonus to me in any case. And I don't know if it is to you, but now think of it this way. This is a $1,600 light at the time of recording this video. I don't want to put this on some shady arm that will fail and swing my light down and crash, right? So skimping on the articulated arm is completely a bad idea. You guys need to really assess if this is for you and if you want it to stay in your kit for a good amount of time and not, you know, potentially damage the rest of your gear. So let me just dismount this, and I'm going to show you one more thing about it that's really interesting. And by the way, another thing that has a 1/4-20 mount on it, something like, I don't know, these little pocket lights, or maybe a little camera like a GoPro, or, you know, type vloggy type cameras. Maybe you're trying to set up a live streaming setup, or you have some sort of precarious position, or maybe you're in an area where you can't put a stand down. What if I told you you didn't have to compromise that? What if I told you you could take this, I'm doing this backwards now just to save time, but you could take a super clamp, put it right into this, and remember, there's always like a flat side to these. You want to make sure that this knob goes into the flat part, tighten it down, and then you can literally make almost anything a stand. I can actually mount two things to one stand. I can put something up here, and I can clamp this down to the C-stand, and voila. I now have something I can mount here, and something I can mount here. So what is that good for? Well, if you've watched any of my live demos for Tether Tools, I used to mount my, or I still do, or even my Profoto A10 video on AdoramaTV. I mount the light here, and then I put a reflector on here. Like there's a 1/4-20 on the Lasto Light Halo, screw it right onto here. I now have a 3-foot reflector I can move however I want, and a light I can move however I want with 2 articulating arms, 1 stand, and there you go. Endless possibilities. It really is this stopgap. It's this thing that you don't wonder if you can get it done. You just go in there and do it because you have so much flexibility, which is kind of, you know, it's like, it's flexible, but no, it really, you do. You have a ton of flexibility. In fact, I think Dan Norton did a video in the Subway where he clamped a light to the Subway I-beam and didn't have to use any stands. And here in New York, if you want to use any kind of stands on the ground, you need a permit. He bypassed that. He just clamped it up, and it wasn't a problem. And it was this really small kit, a speed light, an arm, and a clamp. This isn't too bad to pack, guys, especially if you're running a roller kit. Look, done. And then I have a light I can put on anything. One of my favorite things to use is the back of a chair and then move the chair around like it's a light stand, but I have all this ability to go higher or lower, all sorts of stuff. So there's so many things you could do with this. I've even seen people mount mics to these, like they're almost like their podcast arms or whatever. It's just something that's super versatile that you can keep in your bag. And if you're ever in a like, can I do this? I don't know. You kind of think about this for a little bit and you go, you know what? Actually, I can totally do it. So this is the Matthews Noga. This is the one that I go to all the time. Another one that is really well known that a lot of people use is this Manfrotto 244. Again, I fitted it out with a socket and a shoe. And pro tip for all you TTL type people out there, put some gaff tape on your cold shoe, because no matter what brand light you have, I don't care if it's you know, budget or pro, if you keep the pins from touching a bunch of metal, you take down the error rate for TTL, because the flash can sometimes get confused, sometimes in weird settings. Just put a quick piece of gaff there, stop the metal from touching the metal. That's all, just a quick tip. So the thing about this one is you get this really big knob, and the big knob's cool. It gives you a lot of torque, like you have a lot of leverage with it. However, it is a little more cumbersome to pack, so I tend not to always grab this one to put into a kit. It does take up a good amount of space this way. It's a little awkward in the bag, but what it does give you is the ability to actually fine tune how you want your arm to act. Like, let's say you want your arm to be tight here, but you want to be able to move the ball joint more. You can actually calibrate it, so to speak. It's a little tricky, but it's cool that you can do it. And Manfrotto is legendary for their craftsmanship. I mean, this arm has been around forever. It might actually be one of the oldest arms in the industry, honestly. And I know NASA uses their articulating arms. And Manfrotto makes 2 versions of this, one that's variable friction and one that you actually set with an Allen key and then lock it down, and then that's it. So you actually set the tension with it, and then you just flip a lever rather than having a variable friction. So maybe that's something you want to look into if you're looking to lock something down and not have a constant ability to move it. That might be something you want to look at. And then the third one that I recommend and that I used to, like, probably more than any other arm, because I bought multiples of them because of the price point. So those 2 right there are anywhere from like $150 to $200 each at US at the time of this recording. But like I said, I feel like it's worth it. This one actually is only about $90 last I checked at the time of this recording. This is the oldest one. They don't even have this logo anymore, but this is the Tether Tools Master Articulating Arm. And what makes this one different is you have the same calibration stuff here if you want to mess with it, but you actually get these teeth here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that? I probably got to get a frame because it's checking my face detection. But some people love that, some people hate it. For me, it's kind of cool because you can really just kind of settle it in a little bit. The down point to that is if you crank on this thing, there's a chance that you can seize because the teeth are kind of like putting a lot of pressure on each other. But some people really like that. This is a really solid arm. It is the lowest cost one that I still trust. So I would take a look at that. Either Tether Tools, Matthews Noga, which is solid as a rock. And Matthews, by the way, is the brand of every rental house, because rental houses know it'll hold up over time, and all the people beating it up, and they'll still get their return on investment from Matthews. But Matthews is a really industry standard. And then of course there's Manfrotto 244 arm. I'll put links to all this stuff below. But basically, I'm trying to stop saying so much, and I just did anyway. Basically what you're getting here is a really flexible, versatile extension to grip you're probably already using, and it gives you the ability to mount almost anything. So whether you're doing video, photo, you're doing strobes, you're doing constant, you're doing audio, I mean anything, you'd be surprised what you can do with an articulating arm, and that's one of the reasons I always have them in my kit. And I never really go to a location without them, because sometimes you might not be able to use stands at all and you can clamp up like crazy, and that's basically where I think the articulating arm kind of all started. Oh, I guess I should tell you this also. These are not the same thread. All articulating arms, at least any credible ones, this is a 1/4-20. This is a 3/8 thread. So this is a smaller thread, the same size that goes on a tripod, you know, the tripod to a camera, or what's on the bottom of your camera. And this is a 3/8, which is a larger thread size, which is for other things. This, I wouldn't want this on a smaller thread anyway. This is gonna be the base of my light. And also one other quick thing, I keep on finding things to add. With the 5/8 receptor, most of them have 2 mounting points, which is super cool. So you can actually, if you wanted to, instead of mounting it vertical, you can mount it horizontal and have the ability to, I don't know, maybe, I don't even know why you would want to do that, because you actually have a ball point here that you can mess around with. So I don't know why you would do that, but some people might need it for some weird reason. I don't know. Anyway, that's my spiel on articulating arms, I guess. I guarantee you, as soon as I hit this button, I'm gonna go, oh yeah, there was that other thing. I should have mentioned this and that. Well, I actually did forget something. So you can actually get a pretty low cost adapter of a 1/4-20 to Cold Shoe, and these are super useful as well, because you have a female thread 1/4-20 at the end of the 5/8 post on this end of an articulating arm. So you just feed this in, screw it down so it's secure, and then you have yourself any Cold Shoe camera can then be adapted to the end of your arm. And this is super useful for like weird situations in the field that you need some clearance here for whatever reason, or you need the 1/4-20 on the bottom of the camera free to grip something else, like maybe a radio trigger or whatever. You can of course just put this camera wherever you need it and get the grip out of the way a little bit more, and just have the camera free floating there. Good for top-down type stuff and just putting the camera wherever you need. It's also good for things like, you know, gripping into a truss system in a ceiling or whatever, so that you can get an angle that you might be looking for a little easier. But it's just another option out there, and it's not a lot of money to adapt the articulating arm to do this. So I just feel like articulating arms are these things that keep the versatility and your abilities open when you're out there in the field, or if you're just trying to grip something in a permanent setting, even to give you just a bit of edge where you can't reach something or fit something somewhere. And this is just another thing you can do. It's just endless. But let me know down below if this was helpful to you. Let me know if you want me to go through some other grip out there. I know I do these kind of sloppy because I do not like to do any scripts. I just like to go off the cuff. I've been using these for so long, and I've been in this industry for so long, I feel like it's the best way to do it is just straight off the cuff, because I mean, that's kind of what all this is anyway. Anyway, oh, look at me, there we go. Anyway, that is articulating arms. So if you guys have any other recommendations for articulating arms, put them in the comments down below. I would love to see what everyone else is out there is using. These are the ones that I've been using for so long. I haven't had a problem yet, but there are some pretty questionable ones out there, and really don't skimp. Even if you go like, oh, I'm only using it for this, I'm telling you, it's one way or another. You just want to have an arm that lasts, instead of going, it worked for this one job and it fell apart or whatever, or I only need to hold up this super light thing. Cool, spend the extra 20 bucks, spend the extra whatever, and make sure you have something that works for you and doesn't cause you issues or grief or stress, or you're just waiting for it to fail. Okay, well, that's gonna do it for me, guys. I know this video probably went way too long, and I keep on thinking there's something I'm missing, so I'm dragging this video out. But this is one of these things in grip that changed everything for me. So, do me a favor, hit like if you like this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell for more videos like this. My name's Seth Miranda. Join me at Last X Witness on all social. Check me out on Instagram, write me out on Twitter, join me live on Twitch, and come join my Discord channel. If you're a total photo nerd, video nerd, come hang out. Share some work, let us know where you're from, let us know what you're using. If you have any problems with the gear you're currently using, I guarantee there's somebody in this Discord that has an answer for you, including myself. So thank you so much for your time, everybody. I will see you next time. Peace.